I've never been much of a racer, but in the summer of 2023, I entered 3 different races. A single track classic up in Hartwood, and the other 2 were both enduro-style races. Kind of a new style of racing for here in Ontario. Check out our interview with Alex from the Ontario Enduro Series. Tell us a little bit about your history of mountain biking.
So I grew up in Niagara, and I've raced the Ontario O Cup Series, the National O Cup Series. I've been racing cross country since high school. Traveled around Quebec, Ontario, down to the States a little bit. Then moved out west in 2017 and started participating in enduros out there. Did the Whistler EWS and just had a hoot, like doing the whole Canadian Enduro Series out there. And then we moved back to Peterborough here and riding the Millbrook trails. I saw kind of a flare of that enduro vibe and style of trail, and could see Ontario seemed to be moving towards that enduro, more relaxed style of riding. So with that, I decided to start a race, and just blossomed from there.
I see what you're saying about the Millbrook trails. You go up the one main trail and ride back at the bottom and go back up the main trail. So it really is kind of a mini enduro place.
Exactly. And you kind of see that style getting into more and more places in Ontario. More builders are starting to include that into their style of riding, where they've got one way up and multiple ways down from there.
What's the timeline from when you came back here to when you we're going to start an Enduro Series here?
We moved back from BC in end of 2019. The idea sparked in end of 2020. And then 2021, we started with the first Gani Enduro, and that kind of launched the series.
Walk us through what a day might look like.
So an enduro race essentially mimics a group mountain bike ride. So you've got a large course with a set of stages or timed segments throughout the course. And you're only timed on those segments. So as you transition from one stage to the next, you're not timed. Predominantly out west and in Europe, they're downhill stages. I think that EWS rule is, or Enduro World Series rule is 90% down or something.
Oh,
so predominantly downhill.
Yeah.
Ontario's different. We can't always hit that. But it is predominantly a downhill stage. And then in between, you regroup with your friends. So you're essentially mimicking how you would go ride with your buddies, right? You meet in the parking lot, cruise out together, first trail, start racing each other down, get to the bottom, high fives all around, and off to the next trail you go.
Somebody at Deerhurst described it as a timed ride.
Exactly what it is.
Right? But
100%.
Your time counts in other people's. But really, you're out there on your own. There's like a 30-second gap between riders. So you're just going as fast as you can. Nobody's passing you. You're not passing anybody.
You're essentially doing it the mountain bike time trial, but you're riding to each section with your friends.
Does the EWS have anything to do with this Ontario Enduro Series?
Ontario Enduro Series doesn't fall under any governing body.
Gotcha. Okay.
We will mimic some of our categories and setup in the way that the EWS is run. And conversely, as the Canadian Enduro Series is also mimicking those categories. Ideally, Ontario feeds into Canadian, feeds into World Series.
What's the most events that you've had in 1 year?
We had 4 last year.
Okay.
I want different organizations and different events to jump in under the Ontario Enduro Series banner.
Yeah.
Run their own races, knowing that each local area can only do what they can with their terrain, right? Yeah. Turkey Point is a lot flatter area, whereas a place like Horseshoe can do predominantly downhill,
right?
Whereas another place like Ganaraska has got longer, less steep downhills, but we can drag that downhill out.
Yeah. Tell us where you're going this summer.
So this year we've got an 8-circuit series set up. So we'll start out in Huntsville. Following that, we'll head over to Collingwood to the Highlands Enduro. Go over to Midland, 9 Lives Enduro. They're bringing back a classic. Following that, we're going to Mansfield. So that's the first ever Enduro there. Then over to Kingston, and then to Ottawa River. So that's a new one for us. They've built a bunch of trails there in the last couple of years. So that's a whole new venue. Then to Ganaraska for the Gani Enduro. And then wrapping up at Turkey Point again this year.
Tell us a little bit about the history of the Enduro Series.
When I ran the first Gani Enduro, I reached out to Midland, because Midland had been running their 9 Lives Enduro for a couple of years, just small, low-key, local event. I know the organizer, Thomas Wood, very well. So I reached out to him to get some points and tips on how to run the Gani Enduro. And he mentioned, we should make a little mini series out of our 2 races kind of thing. We included Horseshoe in the first year as well. And then last year, Dan Marshall from Substance Projects reached out and wanted to join in on the Enduro. So we added his races into the series. And since then, we've kind of seen the growth. And so this year, we just reached out to all kinds of different venues, people came to us saying, want to run a race. It's just kind of naturally grown of, two guys running races, and now we're making a whole series out of it.
And you've partnered up with Bateman's for this series as well. Tell us a little
right.
bit about the connection with that.
Bateman's came on board with Gaining Enduro as a sponsor in year one. And then as we got to year two, looking to run the series, he heard about that and offered to sponsor that. And his excitement, enthusiasm for the series is phenomenal. This series, how can I help even more than just sponsoring?
Wow,
so he's
that's great.
Come on board as a partner for the series. So
wow.
Between him, myself, Alex Lefebvre, and my wife, Caitlin Dundas, the four of us, we run the series, and we're kind of pulling all these local associations and other organizers together under the umbrella of the Ontario Enduro Series.
You can't be a mountain biker and not know about Bateman's, right?
They're synonymous, I would say, with enduro in Ontario.
Yeah.
I think when you think about enduro mountain bike, that's who you think of.
For people that are thinking of participating in an enduro,
Yeah.
what type of bike do you think would be ideal?
Yeah, great question. Any bike.
Yeah.
You can race a cross-country bike to a full enduro bike. Whatever you have, come race. Some things are beefier, more technical, like we talked about Huntsville.
Yeah.
Some stuff are more cross-country, like Turkey Point. But you'll have fun in either way, and you won't be, on the wrong bike.
Where can people find out more?
ontarioenduro-series.com, Bateman's website or Instagram. That's where most of the information will be coming.
Okay. Well, that's great. Thanks very much. I hope you enjoyed that interview. Alex and all the clubs that are hosting these enduro races are super passionate about it. Get out and ride one if you get a chance. And don't forget to check the calendar for all your racing needs. Hopefully we'll see you on trail.